Hello, this is Ken Widener, author of Alcatraz, The Last Escape, and nephew of the famous Anglin brothers. I want to share that I've been enjoying the content of the Shadow Ridge School's YouTube channel.
The following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
Hello, and welcome to Out of the Shadows with me, Sean. We got Espie, our co-host, Daniel, our co-host, and then Gio, our co-host. I messed up.
It's all right.
So, one of the first questions I have is, when and where were you guys born at?
We'll start with the boss.
Well, let's see. I was born in 1965, so I'm getting up there. Actually, so was he. I was born in London, England.
Oh, okay. That's crazy.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you moved out here?
Well, that's a great question. My dad was in the Air Force, so he met my mother when he was over stationed in England. And so all of her family are English and Scottish.
Yeah.
And so I was just a wee lad when I was leaving England. And we actually went to Okinawa, island off Japan, and then over to Maryland. And I think I came out to California in about 1971.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So I was born on December 31st, 1965.
Oh, nice.
So I'm a New Year's Eve baby.
Oh, nice.
But in Covina, California.
Oh, that's very cool. So what made you move out here in Hesperia?
Actually, I served an LDS mission, and my parents were getting ready to move the location. I couldn't afford to live on my own, so I had to follow them up here to the high desert.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting. So, what would you guys both describe your families growing up? Starting with you.
Okay. I'm a family of 6.
Oh, wow.
Meaning that mom and dad, and I have 2 sisters and a brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so, growing up, I wouldn't say we were the most well-to-do family, but our parents provided best they can to allow us to participate in those various activities and give us the work ethic that we needed to become successful in our own lives.
Yeah. Well, apparently they did something, right? Because you guys are both very successful, yeah. So go ahead.
All right. So, let's see. Family of 5. I'm the baby. So I have 2 older sisters. My family growing up, again, my father, as I mentioned, he was in the Air Force. Was in the Air Force, served for 25 years. And when he retired, he actually wanted to retire in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and could not find work. So he was born and raised in Pasadena, California. So he came back. We actually lived with my Uncle Bill for a little while. And then my dad drove a truck for quite a few years after that. So my mom was a stay-at-home mom for the most part, though she was very artistic, painter, did upholstery, furniture upholstery. Oh, wow. And so just very, very talented with that. But, being the baby, let's see, my sister closest in age to me is 6.5 years older. And she actually graduated from high school and left, I think, at 16. So
Oh, wow.
it was almost like being an Olney child for a while, which is kind of funny considering my name.
All right. I have a question for you guys. Who influenced you to enter education as your career?
I guess I'll go first since, you get to go first last time, right? God, who influenced me? So, okay, this is just one of those really embarrassing types of questions because when you graduate from college and you still really don't know what you want to be when you grow up, and then your mom says, well, maybe you ought to be a teacher because you're good with kids, and you never want to do what your mom tells you to do when you're a young man. But I ended up substitute teaching for a year, and so I give a lot of credit to a lady by the name of Catty Taylor, who was a principal of a school the first time I had a long-term sub job. And I was there for a good couple of months, and she really encouraged me, kind of shared with me that, hey, you're pretty good at this. And so, here I am 37 years later and still in public education.
That's great. That's great.
I would guess I didn't come up through the teaching ranks. I was a accounting major. Miss Susie White in high school was my accounting teacher that got me influence in the world of accounting. And it just happened to be that the way I got into school business work is that my brother was getting married and happened to take someone home that was one of his friend's dad back up here to Hesperia. And he was telling me about a job at Hesperia Unify that was in the business office. And Holden, the board approved me to be their director of fiscal services, and so that's how I got into the world of education.
That's good.
But I take care of the financial side. I'm not in the classroom like Mr. Olney is or was, and he still is. And so that's how I got involved in education. I've been in education probably for now going on nearly, I'll finish up here about 29 years.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy. So you talk about, you've been in this business for, 29 years. Where do you think education will be in 20 years?
Hopefully in a better place. I think a lot has changed, of course. I've seen things just in the business operations of different ways of how the teachers go about educating. Of course, 20 years ago there weren't computers and cell phones and all those kinds of things. And now I think as the world is evolving into the whole artificial intelligence world, what does that really look like? I really don't know what that's going.
No one can really tell. Yeah.
No, I think that there's a lot of things like that technology world that's just going to make education even better with the variety of tools, and much like what you have right here with the whole podcast and everything.
Yeah. So, Daniel, do you have a question?
What advice would you give to young people today about how to be successful in life?
Well, that's a great question. I think one, be creative. I think creativity is huge. I think be resilient, be kind, and be kind to others, but also be kind to yourself. I think be authentic, be who you are. And sometimes, that takes a while. As I said, when I graduated from college, I still didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, right? And so, sometimes, give yourself that grace and give yourself time to kind of figure it out, and don't press it. But whatever you do, commit to it, and give it your all. Always do your best, right? And that was something that I think my dad really instilled in me is, Dr. Landon mentioned work ethic, and I think that's huge. If you're gonna do something, do it well.
Yeah.
And I would just add that one, show up, be on time. If you're required to be there at 8:00, make sure you're there before 8:00 and ready to go, and just have that presence about it. And whatever you're looking to get into, always ask the question, because you want to continue to be that constant learner, because there's no way you're going to know everything. And both of us continue to learn every day in a variety of things that we do as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really good opinion for listeners out there.
So I had a quick question. You two mentioned colleges. What colleges did you guys actually attend?
I started out actually at Victor Valley Community College.
Oh, no way.
Started off that route, and then from there I transferred down to the University of Redlands.
Okay.
Finished up my accounting degree there, and then as I started working professionally, and then knowing that if I wanted to progress in my profession, I needed to get at least a graduate degree, and so I went off to Pepperdine University and received my master's there, and then several years later, then I ended up doing a doctorate program through Argosy University.
Oh, okay.
So that's my education background.
I like that.
I went to the School of Hard Knocks.
Oh. Okay.
Actually, I took 2 classes at Victor Valley College as well after I graduated from high school, and then I went on to University of California, Riverside. As Dr. Landon mentioned, if you want to move up, you need to get that advanced degree. So I went on to get my master's at Cal State San Bernardino.
Oh, wow. Nice. That's where my family grew up. That's where I started. Do you have any more questions?
Yes, I actually do. So what if someone is interested in getting to where you two are? What is some advice that you would give them in this specific area of a job that you guys do?
Yeah, for me, and Dr. Landon mentioned this earlier, I started out as a substitute teacher and then decided to get my teaching credential. And, I taught at elementary, middle, and high school levels. Then, decided to get that master's degree and got that in educational leadership. So I became a principal. And so I think, you work your way up.
Yeah.
And, I don't think I ever aspired to be a superintendent. It just kind of happened. But it kind of goes back to what I said before. Whatever job you're doing, do it well and commit to it. Yeah. And so good things happened. And, the next thing you know, somebody's asking you to be an assistant principal, then they're asking to be a principal. And, the next thing you know, you're a superintendent.
Yeah. Whew. Big jump.
So you know how you were talking about being like a superintendent? What would you explain like your training for that and like your backgrounds?
Well, kind of what I was saying, you're teaching. And for me, I've been very fortunate because I've had the opportunity to teach at all 3 levels. Mm-hmm. And, then you go back, you get that master's degree in educational leadership. And, being able to, be a site administrator, having the opportunity to be an assistant principal, being a principal. Your own principal was my assistant principal when I was a principal way back when.
Oh, wow.
You're just always looking at ways to grow.
Yeah.
And so I think, a lot of it is what you can do through formal education, but I think a lot of it is also experience. Mm-hmm. And everything that you go through, you have the opportunity to learn and try to improve and do things better.
Yeah.
I actually have a question. Throughout the entire time that you've, been through education, you started at the bottom, really worked your way up. What have you seen change, or how has your perspective on it changed as time went on?
Well, I think that in education, a lot of times if I think about when I was back in school and sitting in rows and, listening to somebody talk at me and trying to memorize information, I think the thing that's changed quite a bit and something that I truly believe in, it's more about the relationship that you have with people and helping them to develop those skills to think critically. At the end of the day, we all have these devices in our pockets probably right now where you've got a computer somewhere that's got Google and you can say, okay, I can look up facts, but it's going to be what you can do with those facts, right? And so I think, that's the same for teaching, as a matter of fact. I think that, if you're a teacher, you're going to go through and you're going to learn theory and you're going to learn strategies and you're going to learn practice. But what it's going to really come down to is, can you connect with people? And can you really develop that critical thinking that you need to be able to take those students from point A to point B?
What about you?
Related to?
The question you had asked.
Well, I came up through the business side of working in public education. And so it's a little different and I think there's a variety of paths that folks can travel down. They can, we're in the business side of paying the bills to receiving a variety of monies from the state and the federal government, working through budgets and working with our superintendent, our school board, as to how best to spend those dollars. So you have these kinds of things here for your classroom. How's that impact the education process? And then, of course, paying the employees of the district, from the principal to the teacher to the custodian, instructional aide, and so on. So there's a variety of paths that if someone was interested in becoming, assistant superintendent, deputy superintendent, whatever that may look like. from very entry level to a very executive level type position that I am today. So much like Mr. Olney said, when you learn as much as you can, and if you have a desire to progress to be something in the world of education, it's a great job to have. It's not necessarily having the whole summer long. My department and we work 12 months all year. So when teachers are gone for the summer, we're closing the books and preparing for the next school year. And of course, we have construction and things like that as well. So there's a variety of paths and things that are accomplished to ensure that the public education continues on an annual basis.
Well, I had something that I heard is that you two are retiring. Ooh, can we hear a little bit about what your plans are after?
Sure. Yeah. My wife would like me to retire today, but not quite yet. Actually, we have a house that we just had built out in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
And so before too long, we'll be putting the house here in the high desert up for sale. And so our plan really is to travel.
I love that.
We're going to... I've got some bucket list things. I like to ride bicycles, and so one of my goals is to ride what they call a century ride, which means riding 100 miles.
Wow.
And so I've never had the time to train to build that up because of how many hours I work in this job. But that'll be one of my goals as well. A lot of hiking, a lot of quality time with my wife.
I love that. So when you said travel, where's one place that you really want to travel to?
Scotland is one. I was born in England, and I've been back to England many, many times. I've never been to Scotland. My son has. I'm jealous, but I'm going to do that. Iceland. I want to go to Iceland. There are so many places. There really are.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Well, my intent or plan is by June 30, sail off to the sunset and be with my wife and my daughter, and we'll we have a RV trailer, and so we'll do some of the, hopefully more traveling throughout the country and see a little more of the United States that we just haven't had the opportunity to see. And then, of course, our probably initial trip here is I'm planning to spend probably 2 to 3 weeks in Maui after Labor Day, when all the kids are back in school and I can enjoy the island a little bit. And then as I was sharing earlier, I plan to just mess around a little bit more with my mid-50 Ford trucks and that kind of thing.
I love that. Well, that is incredible. Excited for you two.
We are
so
too.
Are we.
Counting the days.
Not quite yet. We're counting other things.
Yes.
Any more questions from you guys? No. Okay. I have a couple more questions. So, what would you guys describe your experience? Would you guys do anything different? Would you guys go back to change anything or take a different career, or are you guys pretty satisfied with your life?
No, heck, I think I'm very satisfied. I think that this has been an amazing career. Mm-hmm. I've had the opportunity to meet a ton of wonderful people. I'd like to think that I've had some positive impacts on young people and teachers and principals and the community. I can't think of anything that really, to be honest with you, that I would do any different. There are probably some times where I question some decisions that I made, but I look back on it and say, you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm very, very proud of the last 37 years of my life.
That's cool.
Great.
Yeah, I never imagined how my career even got started this way or even finishing up this way. I would agree with Mr. Olney that I've met a lot of incredible people, that being school board members, superintendents, teachers, custodial folks, cafeteria folks, a lot of great people in the world of public education. And what's nice about the world of public education, and I've been in other districts, not just in Hesperia Unified, and what I found when you come and go or whatever that looks like, people in the world of public education are always willing to assist with whatever hot topic you might be faced with, or how somebody might be doing something. So that's always been a great pleasure, and just the wonderful people that as Mr. Olney said, that's probably gonna be the hardest thing when we do write off is missing the people, because just having that daily interaction and at the end of the day, both of us, we always land with what's best for kids and for Hesperia Unified, and wouldn't matter what district we would have been working at. It was always about the students that we have today and how do we best give them the tools that they need to become successful folks in the future.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I had a question on that part, actually. So I was wondering, do you guys still keep in touch with kids that you've, who you've run into within your career?
Some of them work for me now.
Really? No way. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely,
Incredible.
absolutely. You know, I'll share with you one of the coolest experiences I had was just a few years ago when I was at one of our elementary schools, Mesquite Trails, and I was at their back to school night, and had a young man, very nice dressed. I mean, he was looking sharp, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Are you the Mr. Olney that used to work in Riverside?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "I became a teacher because of you."
Wow.
And now he's an assistant superintendent. So that was pretty cool. But you when you've been in the area, and Dr. Landon and I, we've both been in other districts and worked in other areas. But a majority of my career, and I believe yours as well in education, has been here in Hesperia. And when you spend as long as you have in a community, you're always running into somebody that was your student, or if you were as a teacher,
Yeah.
or you run into somebody who was a student when you were a principal, and it's a lot of fun. And I would echo what Dr. Landon said. Missing the people is going to be the hardest thing about leaving.
Wow. That's good. That's good. Yes.
So one last question, and I think we've learned a lot from this podcast. Would you guys think that you made a difference in the community of Hesperia Unified?
I would say most definitely. One of the things that we do when we do go to various schools, and there's usually a plaque on the side of the building, and it has school boards and superintendents, and of course my name's on some of those, and so I would say that from my point of view with what I do with the facility stuff, and if you've been by Hesperia High School, we're currently having a performing arts building put up there as well. And so I would say those are the kinds of things that I take great pride in, that working with the school board and my staff and making sure those get put in place, and ultimately, of course, they get used by the teachers in a variety of ways, or that be a classroom. And so I would say most definitely that I look upon that and it's like, yeah, I've provided some positive impact to the community of Hesperia Unified.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I would echo that, and I can certainly say Dr. Landon has had a tremendous impact on this community, and I've had the opportunity as a principal to open 2 schools in this district: Cypress Academy, which was just a 6th grade school at the time, and then Cedar Middle School, and had the pleasure of having Dr. Landon working in the business office back when we opened both of those schools. And when the opportunity to bring Dr. Landon back to Hesperia came, it was like, oh, absolutely. I mean, of all the business people I've worked with, to know that, if Dr. Landon said no to something that I wanted, I knew he at first tried every avenue to get to yes, unless it was just a silly idea, I guess. But he's always been incredibly supportive, and I'd like to think that over the years, whether it's been in teaching or being a site administrator, currently the superintendent, this is my 8th year as superintendent here. I would like to say that we've had a positive impact on this community and on the young people. I mean, I look around at Shadow Ridge and I see, this equipment that we have here. I see all the technology, and I see people smiling, and I think that takes a tremendous team. And so with all the folks that we've had the pleasure to work with, I think we've had a good impact on this community.
Yeah, I would strongly agree. You got any last question?
I just had a quick question. How long have you 2 known each other, and how did you meet?
Wow, how long?
Well, it's been a while. When did you start? I started in the district in 1997,
Yeah, so that was probably about when we met because I was on negotiations at that
Yeah,
time. So, yeah, I'd say so 97. So, what's that, 20 some odd years?
Yeah, long time.
And,
And as Mr. Olney said, we've all worked in the district in different capacities, and then at a day, how do we work together? You know, Dave, of course, was on the front line with the education part and leading his schools, and I'm on the operational side, and so you have to mesh those two together and figure out a way to get to a yes. And most of the time, we could get there, and we figure out, and that's the collaboration part. That, as I mentioned, that's the part that we'll probably miss the most.
absolutely.
But I just want to thank you guys for coming out and showing your support and taking your time out of your day to come and talk to us. And I think you guys will have a positive impact on our young students here. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's always something fun here at Shadow Ridge School.
Hi, it's in Shadow Ridge School, the best indie in the HD.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah Fowler, and I'm from Shadow Ridge, the best indie school out here in Hesperia. You know what it is.
I go to Shadow Ridge School, the best indie in HD.